I tried chanting Om for 30 days every single day, and I did it, and I think I had a spiritual experience 4 times. Now, before you think I'm going to tell you about some god stuff or some religious mumbo jumbo, this is not that. So, if you are sitting here expecting me to talk about some religious stuff, you don't have to look further. There's nothing related to that. However, if you're curious as to what meditation can do for you, what chanting can do for you, some practical experience, some practical experimentation, then keep watching. Because by the end of this video, here are the couple things you'll know. One, what did I do and how did I do it? The chanting part. Second, what are the amazing benefits that I had? Third, some special experiences that I had. Four specifically, which I think is a bit spiritual. And next, you will learn about the cautions or precautions that you need to take. Hello guys, welcome to Rich Living Master YouTube channel, where we create content to help you optimize 3 areas of your life: health, wealth and relationships. So this started when I did inner engineering program from Isha Foundation. Sadhguru, right? He is one of those people who kind of makes more sense, logical sense at least, than most Swamijis or Gurujis out there. So I'm like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Let me see what's this about. It all started with me being curious about whether this is a BS thing that they just say, or does it actually work? And I'm surprised to say it actually works. So how do you do this? How did I do this? Is it OM or AUM? Let me tell you this. AUM is like 3 parts, like Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or maintenance, creation, destruction kind of a thing. These 3 sounds carry those aspects. So here's what Sadhguru said. He said when you're starting out, if you are just starting out, if you don't know any other kind of knowledge, you don't have any other kind of knowledge in terms of how to do this chanting thing, then you have to maintain AUM equally. AUM equal amount of timing, because if one is more, the other is less. It's like you're very smart but you don't have money, or you have a lot of money but you're not very smart. So that kind of a thing. So I said do that. So I'm like, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to lose one aspect of it, so I might as well do all 3. Om is you're skipping out on A, so you might be missing something. So because of that, I tried the AUM one, and I think it makes sense. When you really experience it, you'll understand why this might actually work. Here's a quick demonstration of how I did it. So that is one thing that I did for about 21 times minimum. There are sometimes I increased, but I broke the whole thing down into sets of 7. First 7, second 7, third 7. Now you have to sit down, and when you're chanting, you have to also keep a mental count. But you also had, according to Sadhguru, you also had to focus on all 3 sounds, A, U and A. Because A starts from down, below the navel part. Then it comes down to the middle part, the U part, AU, and part, you feel it somewhere from throat to somewhere around the skull. So he said when doing this, you have to be conscious about this one. So you have to count, you have to be conscious. So breaking it down to 7 was a lot more easier to keep count. So what benefits did I experience? So the first and foremost was improved focus. Remember I told you had to be conscious about AUM, the vibrations, the feeling that you have that goes from navel to your throat and head. So when you're focusing on that. Second one is you're focusing on keeping the count, right? You have to get to 21 times by being focused on the count. You should not miss the count. That's the whole point of this. What it does is it improves your focus. I felt improved in focus. In fact, the first week I tried, I could not get through the first 7 with counting. I lost track of it. Like I did first, second, third, fourth, and then I got caught up into thinking, and then I completely forgot about which count I was in. This is apparently a very, very common thing that happens to people who try chanting. Slowly, it improves. By second week, I was able to get through the first 7 ohms without losing focus. By third week, I was able to get through all 20. In fact, I did more. I did 5 sets of 7, which is about 35 times of chanting. And I was able to get through almost all 35 without any distraction. I might have missed 1 or 2 counts. By fourth week, I was able to get through all. In fact, I increased the sets. I did, I think, 49 chants. 49 times I repeated it. And I was able to cover almost whole 49 by being completely focused into it. Now, around the third week mark, I started noticing something different. When I did other work, not chanting, any other work, like it could be studying or working on something, I zoned out. The zoned out doesn't mean zoned out from the task, but I lost awareness of all the things that were happening around me, and I was focused into task, like really, really freaking focused. It happened to such an extent that I thought 1 hour had gone by because I was focusing on a task, and it was just like 30 minutes or 25-30 minutes had gone by. That much intense focus. In all the other different parts of work, I was able to focus a lot better, and it was amazing. It was a change that was very seeable. It was very noticeable. The second change that I was able to feel was understanding my body better. When you do Om chanting, AUM, remember I told you about focusing on different parts as the sound moves. By focusing on it, by second week and third week, it was almost like my body was talking to me. When I see certain foods, when I see spicy food, certain times it's like my body is telling me, you know what, have it, it's good for you. There are certain times where my body says, you know what, don't have it, it's going to mess up your stomach, and it did mess up my stomach. Certain times, if I've been having gastric since COVID and all that, and certain times my body, like, it just tells me what kind of food to have, what kind of food not to have, or what might work, what might not work, what's good for me, what's not good for me. That kind of started happening, and that was something I thought was very surprising. So mind-body connection improved. The third benefit was understanding the thoughts better. You know, when you sit down and if you have ever tried to meditate, your thoughts run like crazy. And Jay Shetty told this. Jay Shetty said a dangerous side or a bad side of meditation is you have to face up to who you are, because as the thoughts go on, you'll notice the thoughts. You have to deal with it. You'll understand what's bothering you, what's on your mind, many things that you suppress starts coming up. My many past memories and all started coming up. I'm like, what the heck is happening? So you kind of start to understand your mind better. Fourth benefit was disassociation from thoughts is something that started to happen. And not only that, I was able to keep count better and then do both. Let me explain. Alright, that's not a very good line of explanation, but let me tell you this. So there's this concept in meditation. The whole point is, they say not the whole point, but one aspect of it is you disassociate from your thoughts. Be witness to your thoughts. Kind of means like being unaffected by your thoughts. Now this is also given in Bhagavad Gita to an extent where they say, you know what, you should be the same person in success as well as failure. You're indifferent to both of them. You're just same. When success comes, you're not fully blown up and you're like, oh yeah, I win and all that. And when failure happens, you're not drowned by the sorrow. You're not depressed. You're not very sad about it. So that's another part about it. And that is something that I was able to experience. Initially, when my thoughts were flowing, I used to get trapped in them. I used to be emotionally affected by it. Slowly, thoughts were going, but it was just going. It's not something that I really cared about. I was focusing on Om, and then even thoughts were going, but I wasn't that much affected by it. It was like, it's just doing its own thing. So that kind of started happening. But eventually, by third week, end of fourth weekend, I was able to focus on Om, and also thought was still going on. Sixth change is the special experience. This is what you're looking for, right? Spiritual experience. I'm a skeptic. That's what I tried this with. I wanted to know what's going on with this. So around the third week, there were 2 days where by the end of Om, third set of 7, like first 7 I did, second 7 I did. In third 7 I was coming to 6th and 7th thing. I started feeling a very strong feeling from neck below. I was very relaxed. I felt very lightweight and all that. But there was something different. It's like I don't know how to explain it actually. It's very tough. I still haven't figured out how to explain it, but it's a very strong feeling. Initially, I thought it was just, it's just my imagination playing out. Certain times you might feel like mosquitoes biting, but it's not biting, or it's just some weird thing. Like, there's this thing in meditation where they say, if you focus on any part of your body, give it time enough, you'll begin to feel some feeling there. That's why people say, when I focus on my third eye, meditate and all that, I'm feeling something special. It's a natural phenomenon. So this, initially I thought that, but it didn't really make sense. It was a very, very strong feeling. I could not just brush it off. I could not just snap out of it. It was a very, very strong feeling. But it was not something that's very harmful. I felt like my whole body was very still, very, very relaxed. Not head above, just neck below. And there was a little bit breathing difficulty as well when chanting Om. When I stopped, I felt relaxed. When I continued, it was hard to keep going. But it felt different. It also happened in the 4th week. And, I told you I increased my repetitions. I did more in 4th week, 3rd week, 4th week. This is to see what would happen if I extended it with that feeling. I had same feeling twice. I could not replicate it other times. But at that moment, I felt like I was really meditative. Or it's a different state of mind that I was in. But it was a good feeling. Next, this is also a bit of a special experience, but I don't know what. This 7th one is that I started feeling a tingle here in between my eyebrows. So people say this is Agna Chakra activating or your third eye activating. I didn't feel anything that crazy. But there was a strong tingling feeling. Just like this, I could feel it. Like it's not something I just focus on something else and it goes. It's just really there. It was a strong feeling, not during meditation, but other times of the day. Even today, I still think it might be because lack of sleep or something like that. But there are many times before where I had lack of sleep, but it wasn't like this. So if you have had any special experience like this, then drop in the comments below. Next, the 8th one. This is the craziest part, alright? My breathing slowed down like crazy at the end of it. So this is how you're breathing is kind of shows how relaxed you are. The less you breathe, the more relaxed you are, or less number of breaths per minute. I was so relaxed that where I would usually need 2 breaths, I was taking 1 breath. So it was kind of half. The other part about it is I felt super relaxed. At the end of it, it was like a burden had been lifted from me. Like literally, you had to go through it to feel that. And the next part about it is I felt very, very light after the practice. My body just felt light. I don't know why, but it just felt light. Other part about it is feeling very still or being very still. In meditation or in yoga, if you really look at it, they say eventually when you're relaxed, your body just becomes still. Now I want you to try this, okay? Try to sit and be very still. Just be still. You don't have to pressure any part of your body or hold it tight. Just really, really stop moving. You can breathe, but just stop moving. It's tough to be still. Some part of your body will be moving or something like that. I recorded a video of myself after the session. It was almost like I was not breathing. I was breathing, but it was not being seen. It almost looked like I was looking at a photograph, not a video. That's how still my body was. I was able to sit without moving my hands or legs or a little bit like this without any discomfort or anything. Super still. So I think it's heading somewhere. My ability to become still is improved. This again, I've heard a lot of other people speak who are doing these practices. So let's see where this leads in long term. For 30 days, it's a big improvement. Also voice. Because of chanting, your voice will improve or your vocal cords will become stronger. So that is another thing that I experienced. So what are some warnings or precautions? The first one is, sounds are more dangerous than you think. This is something that I've heard from many yoga teachers as well. If you really meet and speak to people who do yoga, even chanting is a type of yoga, here's one thing that you'll very quickly realize. There is negative side to it for different practices. Certain people should do it, certain people shouldn't. In fact, there's this one experience that I had where there's this thing that can cool your body. There's this yogic practice of breathing. I did this when I was already feeling cold. Not cold as in temperature was cold. Next day I woke up with running nose. So that is something you have to be careful about. Yoga is a lot more logical than you think. Another part of it is this very, very famous story that they say. This famous story, they use this story, I've read in many books and many articles. They use the story to explain the dangers of sounds. One celestial being, note this, he was a celestial being. He wanted a son who would kill Indra. So he started doing this chanting thing. Now he messed up in pronunciation. Instead of getting a son who would kill Indra, he got a son who got killed by Indra. If a celestial being can mess up, I'm pretty sure me and you can mess up. So I'm not telling this to scare you. Just be careful. In fact, in inner engineering, while learning this Om chanting, he gives a mudra, like this Gnana mudra thing. You have to hold it here on your knees, and he says one thing. He says you need to feel a light pressure here. Give a little bit of pressure here. You should not have pressure in any part of the arm. Everything else should be relaxed. If you give pressure in any other part of the arm, the mudra will turn negative. He did not tell what the negative was, but look, many people have given precautions against it. So don't listen to people if they say, you know what, it's all God stuff, it's all religious stuff. It won't have any negative effect on you. That will only get you in trouble. The second part about it is pick the practice responsibly. It's very purpose oriented. Look at what your purpose is. If your purpose is something more significant, something more spiritual, pick a practice appropriate to that. If it's some simple workout kind of a thing, then pick something appropriate to that. If you have certain health complications, beware about that as well. Because this can, even mental complication, if you have some mental health issue, then be careful about it as well. Certain times when I messed up Om chanting, I got out of a session with overthinking and heavy anxiety after doing this. It was one of the days where I had throat issue, I couldn't pronounce it well. Try to approach it with an open mind. Don't draw any conclusion to it. Remember this. This is from yoga. Yoga is from a time where every other cultures believed there was earth and sun went around the earth. In India, these people who wrote Vedas or about yoga and all that, they understood that there were 9 planets, there was a sun, and earth went around the sun, not the other way around. At the time where people did not know a planet exists, at the time where people did not believe solar system was there, we knew it. People knew it. It's crazy. They came up with yoga, they came up with Ayurveda, which that was thousands of years ago, and it still holds true now. People are we're just understanding on a surface level how beneficial these are. Now, granted, there are some things that don't make sense, there are some practices that don't make sense, but these practices were not ordinary. They figured something out that a science could not figure out. Be careful about your throat. Your throat may not be used to this chanting. So when chanting, start slow, start with lesser number of things and slowly increase the number of times you chant. Even for me, I started having sore throat here and there now and then. So be careful about that. With that said, guys, those were the precautions. So with that said, guys, these were some benefits that I felt. If you've tried anything like this, then drop in the comments below what was your experience. If you felt like this video was interesting, it's something that you learned something new, or you found value in this, then leave a like and hit that subscribe button. With that said, we have many more videos coming up. So this is Abhishek signing off. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.